Welcome back. You're watching Breaking News here at CNN News 18. It's here that we bring you breaking news stories from across the country. You might remember that Congress President post-elections are set to take place on October 17th. This is a controversy regarding exactly that. You've had the Congress leader Manish Tewari question the possibility of fair polls. Remember, multiple Congress leaders had come forward and said, even on our show, that the elections that are set to take place will be fair elections. But he's questioned that. He said, and I'm going to read out for you what he said, for any election to be kosher, the Electoral College must be constitutionally constituted. Now, we're going to go over to my colleague Pallavi to understand more. Pallavi, our audiences will remember it seemed that Anand Sharma had a few days ago made a similar claim. Can both claims be compared?
Well, yes. I mean, Anand Sharma had raised the point also earlier, also the Congress Working Committee meeting, but I think Manish Tewari has just gone a step further where he's actually questioning the defense which came in from the Congress party yesterday, that there is a transparency as far as the polling process is concerned, and that, you know, anyone who wants to know who your voters are, it's easily available. That is something which is being countered by Manish Tewari in an entire thread of tweets that he's put out on the social media timeline. And these are ominous signs which clearly goes on to show, Toya, that as the Congress inches towards finally taking a call on who's going to be their president, that journey is not going to be easy.
Pallavi, you pointed out earlier for us that all of this is obviously also taking place as Congress leader Rahul Gandhi is in a Padyatra across the country. This is the biggest Padyatra we've seen the Congress undertake all the way since independence. With that taking place, can we expect Congress top leaders like Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra to respond to these claims?
Well, maybe not now, but I guess during the Yatra, they certainly are going to be asked this question. Or rather, I think the Gandhis would want the Yatra to speak for themselves. See, it's not going to be again an easy Yatra because the entire purpose of it is to strengthen the organization. But bang in the midst of the Bharat Jodo Yatra, which covers 35,000 kilometers across this length and breadth of the country, lasting till over 6 months, you are going to have the Congress presidential elections. The outcome becomes important, during the process becomes important, but I think also important will be, Toya, the electoral results in both Gujarat and Himachal. If the Congress is wiped out in these two states, the entire purpose of the Yatra is going to receive a huge setback.
Okay, and Pallavi, before we go ahead, if you could just explain to our audiences the Electoral College that you have Manish Tewari raising questions about over here, exactly how is it going to be constituted?
Well, I mean, everyone who is a member of the Congress party, primary member of the Congress party, both at the zonal and the district level, does have that right to vote. They go to their respective state Congress offices, cast their vote, all of that, you know, starts getting counted, which is going to be on 19th October. But the rider over here is that only if there are more than one contender for the top post is they're going to be counting on 19th. The process of nomination begins on 24th, ends on 30th. And the withdrawal also takes place on 11th. And it's going to be interesting to see who really are going to be the ones who are going to be contesting the elections. Will there be someone from G23? Will someone from the mainstream Congress also contest? And most importantly, will Rahul Gandhi indeed file his nomination papers?
Pallavi, if we were to summarize for our audiences some of the names that we know might possibly be out there, obviously one of the most spoken about names is that of Ashok Gehlot, Rajasthan Chief Minister. Shashi Tharoor, it seemed yesterday that could be a possibility. Then a few hours later, it seemed as if his camp had shut it down. Could you give our audiences more context?
Fair, Shashi Tharoor has maintained that he was just questioning the process. He was only saying that in a democracy, it should not be presumed that only one person from one particular family is entitled to vote. He hasn't taken a call on that. But several names are doing the realms of speculation. Very difficult to hazard that because after a nomination process ends on 30th, there's going to be a display of all the candidates. You know, the Congress clearly wants what they call a real election.
Okay.
So even if it has to be Rahul Gandhi, they would want other contenders just to show that Rahul has won with an overwhelming majority.
Okay, Pallavi, thank you so much for that context. We have political analyst Sanjay Jha is also with us right now to bring us his reactions to these developments. Sanjay, I want to ask you, do you see in the next few weeks names coming forward? And if so, who are the names that you think might be in the ring finally?
Well, you know, first and foremost, one will have to admit that, you know, it is good that the Congress party is holding elections. And well, there will be critics who will, you know, find fault with procedure and transparency, etc. I think it's a good step forward. It will be, in a way, motivating for the cadres and supporters of the Congress party. Who do I see in the mix? frankly, from those who might be, in favor from the high command, would be candidates like Mr. Gehlot, Mr. Kharge, and even possibly a Mukul Wasnik. Shashi has definitely, expressed an intent. I hope he carries forward with it, because an election is always welcome. There is a lot of talent within the party, and some of them can be great leaders. Why not put your hat in the ring? And I do believe that Shashi should not back out. And let's assume there's a contest tomorrow between Shashi and Mukul. It'll be lovely to hear their viewpoints of how they want to take the party forward. It'll create a debate, and I would love to see them on CNN News 18 having a conversation. I mean, that's what democracy is about. So I'm pretty optimistic that there will be a contest, although the party, knowing its traditional mindset, will try and work towards the consensus.
Okay, Mr. Sanjay Jha, this is Pallavi over here. I don't know whether Shashi Tharoor is going to be contesting, but do you also feel and think this is possibly a smoke screen? They're going to try and show that the Congress is indeed conducting a real election, but at the end of the day, when it comes to the withdrawal of names, everyone is going to withdraw, or it's going to be only Rahul Gandhi left if he's going to file the nomination, or if the others are going to be contesting, it'll be an overwhelming vote for Rahul Gandhi, because that's going to be the kind of silent whip which will be issued, and then they'll say, look, it was a democratic election, but we knew all along that it's going to be Rahul Gandhi.
Well, Pallavi, you have followed the Congress beat for a long time, so you know how the party works. Well, let me put the facts on the table. If Rahul Gandhi were to contest for the Congress president, or say Priyanka does, I mean, they will win hands down. It's not even a competition. Let me put the second point. Shashi is an excellent candidate by any standard, right? He's one of the best in the party, or probably in the political ecosystem. But if he were to suppose compete tomorrow against Mr. Gehlot, and although I believe Shashi would make a much better Congress president, he will still lose to Mr. Gehlot if Mr. Gehlot has the blessings of the Congress High Command. So these are realities.
But Mr. Jha, you know that whoever's going to be the Congress president will have to take on the Modi factor. Can you afford to have someone from the south, someone who doesn't belong to a Hindi heart belt? I mean, Mr. Gehlot does have lots of pluses to him. OBC leader, plus Hindi speaking, from the so-called Hindi belt, actually North India. Those are his factors.
Well, Pallavi, in my personal opinion, and I'm not saying this with any bias because Shashi is someone whom I know very closely, I believe the Congress needs to supply its people. The old politics of everyone has to be a dhoti. Yeah, be bold, be pragmatic. Shashi is not just a very popular national figure. Listen, I have been with him in many programs, mostly in urban. I will concede it's been mostly in urban parts of India. But he's a rage, and he's so intelligent. He's got a view on issues. I can tell you on the Hindutva issue, for example, if people who read Shashi's book, Why I'm a Hindu, if Shashi was the Congress president, he will completely destroy this Hinduism versus Hindutva debate to put the Congress in the forefront. So, I think you need to try and do something different. And I do believe that Shashi, given his ability to be, swing the urban middle class vote, obviously you in media will love him because he will give you a lot of interviews and he will not use a teleprompter.
Even when he's not the Congress president, Sanjay, he gives a lot of interviews and very controversial. He's a great copy. But we also got Shehzad